So The Fall Guy was directed by David Leitch and it stars Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, and it's about this stunt guy played by Ryan Gosling. He is tasked to work on a movie that's directed by his ex-girlfriend, played by Emily Blunt, and he is tasked to find the actor who is, his main counterpart in the movie, this guy he's doubling for, but he gets wind up caught up in this whole conspiracy, and I won't spoil the movie for you. So this is a movie that I remember looking forward to. This movie looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. David Leitch is a solid director in my opinion. I actually really liked Bullet Train. I thought that was a pretty fun movie. His other movies are good, like Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2 I enjoyed. Obviously he's from John Wick and he does have a stunt guy background and such. And I was definitely curious to see like what this movie is going to be like. It looked like it was going to be fun, it looked like it's going to be exciting, and I was definitely excited to see it. So this movie, I would say this movie was actually pretty fun. I had a great time watching it. So let's start off with the performances in this movie. Ryan Gosling carries this entire movie. I thought he was really good in this movie. I thought it was really fun. I thought he was really fun in this movie. Like, I thought his chemistry with Emily Blunt was also really good. Emily Blunt also gives a really good performance as well. I definitely bought them as like a couple and like kind of like bought them throughout the entire movie as like, these two people who have a history and such. I thought their back and forth was really well done. Among the other actors, the only ones who really stood out were Winston Duke, who is a foil, nice friend to Ryan Gosling's character, and Hannah Waddingham, who is this producer in the movie. She has a few good lines here and there. So of all the supporting actors, I thought they did the best. Also, Aaron Taylor Johnson, when you do see him, he has a few good moments in the movie. The action sequences themselves are pretty fantastic. It's an action-packed movie. It's really fun. They're really well done. And there's like so many different types of like action sequences throughout the entire movie, which kind of leads me to what I feel like about this movie is it definitely praises the work that stuntmen do, the work that stunt coordinators do. And it definitely shows like how underappreciated a lot of these people are. A lot of them, risk their bodies, they risk their lives to do some of these things. And it's clear that this movie wants to show off the dedication that they do, like the hard work that, other people refuse to do. And I definitely feel like that is really effective in this movie through the sequences themselves, as well as the characters, as well as how they're like, shot and such. It's a very well choreographed movie for the most part. I do think that this movie, it definitely takes stuntmen very seriously, but it's not too serious to the point where it's like you should only respect stuntmen. No, this movie's still fun. Like these characters are not super serious all the time. They're definitely very fun. It's definitely a very fun movie overall. I was laughing throughout this movie. I definitely feel like this is a very funny movie, so it's like we don't get a lot of comedies on the big screen these days, unfortunately. I do think this movie is really funny, so that's probably the best way I can say it. Meanwhile, I do think the arguments of practical effects versus, CGI, or in some cases I do think that's very interesting in this movie as well. It kind of shows that, they in the past they would use these stunt guys to kind of like do some of these really difficult things, but in this day and age you can show like, you can just do it through like, artificial intelligence. You can do it through CGI. And I do think the movie is clearly making an argument for, practical effects. And I do think that is very effective. And I do think that works in the movie's favor more than anything. So it's definitely a very fun movie overall. It kind of made me think about a few things. The action sequences are pretty cool and they're pretty fun and over the top and such. But I'll talk about some of the things I don't really understand in this movie. First off, I feel like the movie is a little too long. This movie is 2 hours and 6 minutes long, so it's, 2 hours long with credits. Yeah, the movie is a bit too long in my opinion. I felt like there are so many times where I'm watching it, it's like, okay, this could end here. Oh, it's still going. Well, this could end here. Oh, no, it's still going. Well, this could end here. And eventually it does end, so I'll give it that. It's also a little too convoluted. Once you figure out, like, what's going on and, like, what the twist is in the movie, it's like, okay, you had to have a lot of things go wrong. Like, you had to have a lot of things go right in this situation just for this outcome. And, like, that is a lot of work. This is, like, the Cult from Hereditary type work. This is a lot that's happening. Also, the movie has, it has a ton of people in the cast, like, Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, Winston Duke, Hannah Waddingham. Some actors don't really have a whole lot to do. Like, Stephanie Hsu's in this movie briefly from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Her character is not really in the movie a whole lot. Then again, she wasn't in the trailer, so I can't really complain about it. It's like, why would you hire an actress from that movie to basically kind of just walk on for like a day like that and just for a role like that? It just felt like some characters were just kind of underutilized. Even Winston Duke and Hannah Waddingham, who do the best they can with their very limited screen time, they don't really have a whole lot of screen time, unfortunately. Also, I did feel like the movie that Emily Blunt's character was directing, the movie was a little too wild. Like, what are you trying to do with this movie? It looks like it's part Fast and Furious. It looks like it's part Dune. And there's a cameo towards the end of the movie, which I won't spoil. But it features an actor who was in both of them, so that's probably the best. It's like, it's just kind of weird. It's like, in what world would this movie be like, the mega blockbuster? I can only see this movie being like a mega flop, if I'm being honest. I don't know. Like, maybe that's just me, because like I just kind of like notice these patterns and such. Just like, I kind of see like, okay, what movie do I think is going to be successful? What movie is not going to be successful? Then again, I thought this movie was going to make a lot of money at the box office, and it turns out it isn't, unfortunately. So what do I know? So The Fall Guy is a really fun time. The acting is incredible, particularly from Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. The action sequences are incredible. It's a very fun and funny movie throughout. The argument about practical effects versus CGI and AI and all that is very fascinating. I do think it's a movie that praises the stuntmen and like all the dedication that they put into the movies and such, and definitely takes them seriously while still having a good time with it. And even though the movie's a little too long and a little too convoluted, and some of the cast members are a little bit wasted in the movie, I do feel like this is without a doubt a fun time at the movies. We don't get movies these days that are just like, just simply a good time. We get a movie, we get a movie like once in a while. Like, this is one of those movies where I feel like this is a good time. It doesn't really take itself seriously. Just go and have fun, even if it is a bit too long. So, I'll give The Fall Guy 3 out of 4 stars. See it. Just give stunt coordinators an Oscar category. Just come on, just do it. You already had Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt at the Oscars talking about, stunt people. Why not just go the extra mile? So, what is your favorite what's the last action comedy that you saw that you really enjoyed? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.